I wish the British won the Revolutionary War. No, I wouldn't say that too loud. There's a lot of patriotic Americans in the room. Quick question for you guys. What's the United States' fearless leader's obsession with Greenland?
Well, that's what hurt my relationship with NATO, because Greenland doesn't help Denmark. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland, but it's an important part for the United States. And it's surrounded by China ships and Russian ships. And that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark.
And torching relationships with NATO altogether. But what's even crazier are why are a handful of Americans, more Americans than I could have ever imagined, backing this? Now, don't get me wrong, it's not most of the United States, but it is a concerning chunk. And that's where I happened to stumble across this post that's gaining traction online. It was this American saying something absolutely diabolical about Europe under a post related to Trump. Now, I don't understand why we're obsessed with owning countries, owning continents, owning the planet, but it seems to be a trending behavior with us USAians after a certain someone took office in the United States. Well, as you can imagine, the internet was not going for that, and they absolutely eviscerated this individual into oblivion. So let's all point and laugh, ha ha ha, at this absolutely dumb American for making this post. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. If you guys are returning viewers, welcome back. Please support us hitting 1 million subscribers by liking this video and subscribing if you haven't already. And like I always say, I'm not holier than thou. I say dumb things all the time, and you guys are very quick to correct me in the comments. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that matters is the willingness to learn. But I'm curious, what's the dumbest thing one of us Americans has said to you? So here's the post in question. It says, we have a right to all land in Europe, not just that tiny sheet of ice. They're referring to Greenland. We were paying for NATO for years, American dollars. So all of it is ours. Now you might think this is a troll, super unserious, but this is actually how a lot of Americans think because, I mean, hey, we follow what we see at the top. And if the top is saying,
it was Greenland that, and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark.
Obviously, you're going to have his supporters back what he's saying. And it's concerning because you would think if you had one functioning brain cell, that's not realistic. But hey, who am I to judge? But I can tell you what Entity did, the entirety of the internet. But before I get into that, it just baffles my mind how entitled a lot of people who think like this are. It's not all of us Americans, but it's a very loud chunk, okay? It's like, oh, we own the continent of Europe, but we'll say country. Yeah, of course we invested millions and billions of dollars into this country, so it's ours for the taking. We can do whatever with it as we please. I'm like, we're in 2026, big dog. What are you talking about? Diplomacy is how we do business. We don't just steamroll countries anymore. You know what I mean? At what age is a human supposed to stop considering anything he wants is his own? Probably the age of 2. That's something toddlers learn, man. Toddlers learn that everything they touch is not theirs. But apparently that doesn't apply to everybody. There's a reverse evolution epidemic going on in the United States right now. So I don't know. What age do you guys think people should stop claiming everything as their own? Because I think it's 2, but maybe people think it's 81. How do they still don't know how the funding of NATO works? I'm telling you, there's a lot of things we don't know. You can fill an entire universe with the things we don't know. So, not surprising that the American people don't understand how NATO works at all. But it also seems like some higher powers don't understand that either. I wish the British won the Revolutionary War. No, I wouldn't say that too loud. There's a lot of patriotic Americans in the room, all right? They might take a flight over there and try to claim the entirety of Europe. We're dumb and delusional enough to attempt something like that. Now, I do want to say a vast majority of us Americans understand that what is happening is absolutely wicked and we don't support it. But again, the vast majority of Americans against what's going on, there are a strong minority of Americans that are rolling with the tides. They're rolling with the punches. So anything that the top does in the United States, they back blindly. Why do you think the files haven't gotten a lot of steam? When the files dropped, that same support group for the head of the country was still loud and proud. They're like, okay, and so what? Okay, and so what is crazy for what we all saw in those files. I have zero faith in humanity after that. Or at least in the country I was supposed to be like head over heels for. Dutch financed the American side of the revolutionary, so all is ours? That's true. By that logic, the Dutch own the United States. Not fun when the rabbits got the gun in there. Does that mean then that Japan and China have the right to all of the land in the USA because they hold most of their debt? Or should they carve it up with the UK, Luxembourg, and Canada? Then it says, which countries own the most US debt? Over the past 20 years, Japan and China have owned more US treasuries than any other foreign nation. Between December 2000 and April 2024, Japan grew from owning $556.3 billion to just over $1.1 trillion. China's ownership grew from $105.6 billion to over $749 billion. As of April 2024, the 5 countries owning the most U.S. debt are Japan with $1.1 trillion, China with $749 billion, the United Kingdom with $690.2 billion, Luxembourg with $373.5 billion, and Canada with $328.7 billion. So if we keep trying to claim other continents as our own, other countries as our own because we've dumped a bunch of money into those countries, well, by that logic, the United States would be owned by a ton of countries for the same reasoning. That's diabolical. Have you seen our national debt? Let's just take a look at the national debt in the United States. $39.5 trillion. Approximately. So we own who? We're going to take over what? We're going to do what to who to when to where to how? We owe $39.5 trillion. Okay. Borrowing money from a loan shark and then threatening the loan shark because you borrowed money from the loan shark. Do they know the difference between owning and owing? I think in this context, we're blind to the letter N, unless it ends in ER. Welcome to Delulu land, everybody. We've paid for your independence, therefore the US are French. I don't know how to say any of that. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Oh my God. How do y'all pronounce this? France also stakes claim in the United States with the United States' logic. If we own other countries because of the amount of money we've been dumping into other countries, then other countries own us because they dump money into the United States as well. And they hold our debt. We don't owe money to ourselves. We owe money to other countries. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Also, how in the world are we going to pay all that debt off? Now, we're not the only country with a ton of debt, but I feel like we probably have some of the highest debt in the world. In raw dollars, the United States holds the most with a total government debt of roughly $35 to $39 trillion. Relative to the economy, Sudan has the highest burden with a debt to GDP ratio exceeding 250%. Japan is a close runner-up with debt exceeding 230% of its GDP. So maybe when us Americans are saying we're the greatest in the entire world, we're referring to the greatest debt holders in the entire world because we have the world record for most debt from a singular country. We should have never allowed them to be independent. They're like cognitively impaired children in dire need of guidance. We're not that misguided, are we? Truth. Unlike Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and other Commonwealth countries who left home with mom's assistance and permission, America ran away from home and supported mom's enemies and have been proud brats ever since. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Damn. Ripping us up in the comments. Relax a little bit. All we said is we want to own all of the countries we dump money into. What's the big deal? These people are just too dense to understand that nobody pays for NATO. Each country has their own military they invest in, and in many cases buying from countries' weapons manufacturers. The reason the US is investing so much in their military has very little to do with NATO and a lot with American jingoism, as it stands to reason that they would spend even more on it if their NATO allies wouldn't provide them with certain capabilities. While this may be true, I did hear that there are different contributions that each country has into NATO and whatnot, and this has been the back and forth of a decade plus of who's been contributing the most into NATO and blah-de-blah-de-blah. I keep seeing this topic go around, like who's been footing the bill for a lot of these things. And the United States claims up and down that we've been footing the bill for a lot of the issues throughout NATO. And then other countries are also saying, well, hey, the responsibility shifts depending on what happens and whatnot. So I'm not sure exactly how that works. There's like a monthly bill each country has to pay, or if there's a project that countries volunteer to fund to provide support and whatnot. Not entirely sure how that works. So if somebody could break it down in the comments, If they would like to, please let me know. But if not, after this video, I'll do some research and educate myself. There's a comment responding to this that says, that's not strictly true. There is a common fund that every member pays into that funds NATO headquarters, etc. America and Germany contribute 14.9% of that fund. The UK and France contribute 10.3%. Per head of population, though, America contributes less than many smaller NATO countries. Yet we parade around perusing like we own everybody because of the little coin we be throwing at NATO. Now, obviously, no matter what happens, there's always going to be a bit of bureaucratic discrepancies between each country when it comes to negotiating who needs to foot the bill for what. That's normal. And that's why we have the diplomatic table. You sit down, we kumbaya, we discuss a whole bunch of things, and then boom, we come to a conclusion. Usually it's pretty reasonable, but it seems like for the United States, becoming unreasonable has been a trademark recently. Maybe for a long time. Maybe we're only seeing it because we have a certain somebody in office now, but maybe it's been like that for a long time. You guys have let me know in the comments in the last few videos, and actually for over the last few months as well, that the United States has always been a pretty severe level of corrupt for a long time. You know what I mean? Burning relationships, torching bridges and whatnot, but it does seem like it has accelerated, at least from my perspective, because if they were doing this in the past, they at least did it out of earshot from the American people. Now, it's like they tell us what they're about to do before they do it, and then they do it on an even more diabolical level. Do you think that America went from screwing the world over to accelerating that process and steamrolling the planet as far as like tarnishing relationships go and backdooring people and everything? Or do you think that that's the trajectory the United States was always on? Because it seems like as of recent, we have totally shattered our reputation. As the Yanks are so fond of saying, come and take it. That would be one of the most pointless wars ever fought on this planet. Why are we trying to take an entire continent? Why? If we don't have a planet to live on, we can't even really beef with each other for real. So how about we come together and put our heads together and figure out how to treat new viruses that are spawning up out of nowhere and treat the planet so we can live on this planet for a longer period of time. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen because greed. All right, greed. We want more money, we want more land, and we're not going to stop until somebody stops us. Come get some. Probably a Meal Team 6 guy. Meal Team 6 is crazy. I can picture the scene in the White House Situation Room. Trump is stabbing his finger at a world map and barking orders. Here, invade Greenland. That's Gibraltar, Mr. President. Here, Greenland. That's Greenock, a town in Scotland. Here, Greenland. That's Gloucestershire. It's an English county, sir. Here, Greenland. That's Georgia, sir. You already own it, unless you mean the European country Georgia. What? Euros have stolen our big, beautiful state of Georgia? We need revenge. Bomb the Iranian Japanese and get me a Big Mac. You know what's wild about that? Imagine being like, so bent out of shape and like, we're going to go ahead and invade Greenland. We're going to go ahead and invade these different countries, and then being geographically challenged and invading the wrong country. You know what I mean? Like, it's like looking this way and we're like, we're going to invade you guys, and then invading the country behind us. We're geographically unintelligent. We get made fun of for it all the time. Case in point, have you seen the Belgium, Germany memes? I jokingly said a long time ago that Belgium was basically just sideways Germany. Part of me was serious because I also was geographically challenged and I did not understand flags that well. I understand them much better now, so I'm a reformed gentleman. But I also used to confuse Belgium and Germany a long time ago. There's videos of it on the internet, and if you're unfortunate to stumble across those relics, I am so sorry. I apologize in advance. Hello, Belgium here. Just to clarify that this is where we are. That's crazy. Yeah, if you're gonna go ahead and put tariffs on anybody, put tariffs on Belgium. Put tariffs on Belgium. And then America's like, oops, wrong Belgium. Germany here, and you're all wrong. The countries entering the chat is crazy. That's France, bro. They speak French. I'm telling you, the comment section was going ballistic. Trump will say, they got their flag the wrong way round. How was I supposed to know? And I know flags. No one has ever known flags better than me. Can you believe it? Why did they turn their flag sideways? That makes zero sense. Someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Clearly they're missing a few brain cells, because why does Belgium have Germany's flag? I didn't know that Belgium was sideways Germany. Just clarifying. It's crazy too, because I could imagine like the United States making a strategic map and we're like, oh, you know, we're gonna go ahead and take out Belgium. You know what I'm saying? And the entire country that we're pointing to is Germany. And then some of the people in the room were like, is somebody gonna tell him that's not Belgium, sir? So just to be sure, we're gonna take out that country and the country that's next to it, because it seems like Germany has an extendo clip version of Germany, but they just turned it to the side a little bit. As an American, I am offended. Well, this is a punch we're gonna have to roll with, big dog, because it only gets worse from here. LOL, everything is a geography lesson for Americans this World Cup. Big facts, big facts. We can't point to you a lot of countries on the map, but we're changing. There's like a new hybrid version of us that's been up and coming through the ranks and stuff. We're becoming a lot more curious about the world around us, but our government's definitely deterring us from pursuing that curiosity. So bear with us while we try to learn ourselves something. Belgium is a beautiful city. Quote from Donald Trump. That's diabolical. Calling a whole country a city is crazy, but I think I've done that before myself. I used to think Paris was an entire country. So anyways, did you guys laugh as hard as I did? Did you scratch your heads and look at me with a puzzled look on your face? Because I probably would have done that as well. Why in the world would us Americans think that we're entitled to owning an entire continent, let alone any country at all?